I have four basic principles that make up the foundation for my coaching, my manifestation workshops, and basically all that I do when it comes to teaching people how to reconnect and manifest. So, the first of these is self discovery and awareness. So, self discovery begins with observing the patterns that shape your behavior. Many reactions are just inherited from the environment you grew up in, family, culture, early experiences. These imprints influence how the world around you gets interpreted. Um, Example, someone who is always anxious in social settings. Through some reflection, you realize that that anxiety stems from some childhood experiences where either expressing emotions was not safe or even using your voice wasn't safe. When you identify this, you can see that it is not a flaw, but just a coping mechanism that just needs to be released. The goal of awareness isn't to judge your patterns, but to see them clearly. With your new awareness, you can begin to rewrite your narrative and consciously choose your new way of being. The next is personal responsibility and accountability. Personal responsibility is the bridge between awareness and transformation. It's taking ownership of your emotional state and choices rather than attributing them to others or circumstances. Consider someone who's unhappy in their job. Instead of focusing on the environment, how unfair it is, they start to explore ways to change their situation. They start setting boundaries, they start seeking opportunity, and maybe even pursuing a new path. The shift is from blame to accountability, and it restores your personal power. When you take responsibility for your internal world, you stop waiting for external validation or rescue. You become the architect of your own peace. The next is empathy and presence. So empathy and presence are the foundations of any meaningful connection. Presence means fully aware of the current moment. You are there as your true self. You are listening without anticipation. You're observing without judgment. Empathy adds another layer. It's the ability to understand others' perspectives without losing your own center. In conversations, people often over-explain or justify themselves just out of anxiety or a need to be understood. Practicing presence means learning to make clear, concise statements without defensiveness. This creates space for authentic dialogue. Empathy doesn't mean absorbing someone else's emotions. It means staying open and curious. When we are present and grounded, we can hold space for others without losing ourselves in the process. The last and most difficult is overthinking, anxiety, and just your multiple trains of thought. Overthinking is a byproduct of the human condition. And when your mind is running on multiple tracks, it is jumping between possibilities, fears, and outcomes, and it will go towards that strongest emotion. It's just a sign of mental overactivity. It's not weakness, but we can bring compartmentalization in and help bring some focus back to a single thought train. This just allows you to slow down and create clarity. Imagine your thoughts as trains moving on parallel tracks. So presence is the station where you can observe them passing without needing to board everyone or claiming or naming them as important or the point of focus. By practicing this mindfulness and conscious thought process, you breathe, you pause long enough to choose which thought deserves your attention. That pause between thought and response is where peace begins. It's not about suppressing thoughts, but about observing them long enough to decide how to engage. This mindful pause transforms reactivity into reflection. This is not about avoidance, it's about clarity. It's allowing you to separate what's immediate from what's long term, from emotional, from practical, and from reaction, from response. Through awareness, accountability, empathy, and presence, you can create a sustainable sense of inner peace. Manifestation should always begin at this point. This is the point you should be at when you are thinking about your future and your future self. Manifestation is not just about seeing what you want to become. It's taking those active steps to get you there, to that new space and to that new way of being.